monthly community art show that's for the community, by the community.
My name is Aisha Kamara.
And I'm Vali Mkunanzi.
Vali, what are you doing?
I'm going to work out some lottery numbers.
The show has started. Why?
Yeah, but I'm going to be a billionaire.
Che.
Hey, look, I realised the other week I'm sick of working. And I realised all I have to do, buy a bunch of lottery tickets, win the lottery, I never have to work a day in my life.
Do you realise there are thousands of people that work for free?
Did they win the lottery too?
No, they're volunteers, and that's our theme for tonight's episode.
That's right. Tonight, we're going to be talking to some of the volunteers from the Byron Bay's Blues Fest and some of the great volunteers at Youth Challenge Australia.
And we're bringing you Vox Pop from what you, Australia, think about volunteers.
And of course, the regular segments, Reel to Reel and the Bulletin Box with Andy.
Over to you, Siobhan, with Blues Fest.
Thanks guys, hi I'm Siobhan and I'm here in the very sunny Byron Bay for Blues Fest. Blues Fest is a 5-day festival full of awesome food, stalls and of course music. But today we're about to go behind the scenes to chat to some of the volunteers that make it all happen. So I'm out the front of the volunteer tent now with a guy who's known to the Blues Fest crew as Scotty the Hottie. So Scotty, can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing here?
I sure can. I'm in charge of the recycling team, the orange team.
So why do you like volunteering in the Byron Shire?
Because it's kind of like summer camp, I guess. Like you're still going to watch like a lot of music. You actually get to watch a lot more music. The working experience is like the camaraderie with people, you know, things happen on a day-to-day basis. We're all learning together. I guess it's kind of exciting being like in that environment of like, there's a problem, let's sort it.
I'm a team leader, volley team leader. We basically look after the bars and the coffee stands and the water stands. Blues Fest brings so many different people to this festival, amazing musicians. It's potluck and every time it's been so much fun.
So if I was a new recruit volunteer today to come and help you guys out, what kind of stuff could I expect to be doing?
So you could expect to be handing out information about the organisation and information about the things that we're concerned, signing up new members and hopefully selling merchandise, because part of the reason for being here is also to raise funds for our campaign.
What kind of stuff are you doing at Blues Fest this year?
My name's Russell and I walk around with the girls. We show off the guitar.
So you're the guitar model?
Yeah, that's it. People see the guitar and they're just drawn to it. It's quite easy and people love to support the cause.
How did you get into volunteering for cystic fibrosis?
Well, we have a son with cystic fibrosis, so of course we're looking to find a cure so that his life will be a long and happy one. So that's why we're here. We've been doing it for 16 years here at the Blues Fest, and this year we hope to raise it'll be up to $250,000 total.
I'm doing volunteer work for the Byron Youth Service. What we're doing pretty much in the tent is we have a breathalyzer where people, when they want to go drive back home, they can come and check themselves. And on the other side we have phone charging, it's $3 an hour, and all the money that we raise it goes back to the Byron Youth Service.
So you're currently in volunteer headquarters here. What happens here is volunteers come here before their shift, they'll sign on, we'll make sure they've got water, sunscreen, make sure they're being well looked after. They'll meet their team leaders, we then take them out to their respective departments, whatever they're doing for the day. We keep an eye on them, make sure they're safe and happy with all their safety vests and whatnot, and then they come back here, they sign off, and it's basically just a big buzzing hub. With the festival, with pre-fest, during festival and post-festival, we have up to 800, but right now during the 5-day event, we currently have 400 volunteers working across 7 different teams, looking after all the departments on site.
Like rigging and staging, but then it goes through to car parking, we deal with bars, we deal with VIP and production area, and then we also deal with recycling. We also deal with disability services and customer service with our own patrons.
That's it for Chatterbox up in northern New South Wales, and now I've chatted to all the volunteers, I might just go check out some bands. Back to you guys.
Wow, Blues Fest is the best. All those people coming together to listen to music, all those volunteers, that looks like so much fun.
People giving up 2 weeks of their lives to help out with one of the biggest blues fests in the world.
Wow. And you know, it's not just music that people volunteer, is it? It's like other things, I guess.
No, I volunteer all the time. It's a great way for me to meet people from the film industry.
Oh, really? So you volunteer with film?
Yes, I do, all the time.
Oh, I would love to learn some stuff about the film industry.
Well, don't go anywhere, because next up we've got the segment that brings you Eyeline.
I thought we were going to learn about film, not makeup. Who wants to know about eyeline?
We're not learning about makeup, silly. Eyeline is an indicator of where the actors and presenters are supposed to look while doing a take.
All right, so where's my eyeline right now?
It's all over the place. Coming up next, we've got Amin and Ben teaching us about eyeline.
Reel to reel.
My name is Amin and hope you find this useful. Here's an example of a good frame. I'm on the left hand side of your screens and there's some empty space on the right hand side. And the reason for that is my eyes, the direction of my eyes is towards the other character and it's to establish that I'm standing on one side of the frame.
Okay, so here's another example of a good frame. This one cuts with the good frame that we saw a minute. What we're employing here is two rules of filmmaking. One is the rule of thirds. You can see that I'm on frame right. All my frame room is here, although to me the subject, it feels like it should be there. You're also getting the 45 rule, which is the rule that says you try to get as much depth of field as possible. If I was shooting front on, I'd just have a flat face to camera, or if it was a 90 degree, I'd be a profile. It's not as interesting and you don't get the full emotive use of my face.
Here's an example of a bad frame. As you can see, my head is almost making it into the shot. This makes me feel, makes the audience feel that I'm quite short, or establishes that I'm in a lower position than the other character. But in this case, we want to go for an even-handed game, so we don't want to make the audience feel that I'm less powerful or less dominant in this frame.
This is a terrible frame and it makes obvious sense to you, the viewer. Of course, my head is missing. Now, sometimes when we're in a close-up, we can leave a lot of the head out because the viewer knows what's there. There's obviously a forehead and some hair. But when we're in a mid-shot like this, it's really important that we employ the rule of thirds again. Now that would mean that I'm going to have to lower the lens so that my head enters the shot and my eyes are actually positioned in the top two horizontal lines. So if you've cut the frame into 9 segments, in the 2 horizontal segments, you'd want the eyes sitting between the top of the frame and the second top line.
So in this example, they left me on the right hand side of the frame. Now this might work if you're trying to create a person who's thinking about something or they're stuck in a situation. But in this case, we're trying to have a relationship, create a relationship and a sense of a game on an even matter. So probably it was best to leave me on the left hand side of the frame. So it's as if that I'm looking at the other character rather than looking away from them because of the block in the frame. I'm stuck in one corner.
Now I've got the illusion of being in a position of command, of power. And the way we've done that is simply by lowering the tripod and shooting up towards the subject. This, obviously, to you guys would seem that I'm winning this game against Amin, and there is nothing further from the truth.
Now, this is also another example, probably a bad frame because I've been left in the center. This sort of framing is more classical. Before TVs were all sort of square shaped, but nowadays with the new HD form TVs that are wider, it's best to leave the characters on one side because automatically our eyes are operating on a third. So if you divide your frame by 3 segments, it's best to leave the character and the eyes on the third on each side of the frame. This way you also create a relationship with the other person because if you leave both of the heads in the center, and you cut to the other character, it feels like you're doing a jump cut rather than cutting left to right on each frame.
Okay, and here's the cut point from Amin's central position in the frame to me being in the center of the frame. As you can see, it's not quite working, is it? It's a bit of a jump cut. We're in the same spatial dynamic. It would be better for me to move to my left, your frame right, and then we get a better frame.
Now that we've established the game, and we've established the space, Amin and Ben, we are standing on 2 sides of the camera, 2 sides of your frame. So you gotta imagine an imaginary line between the 2 characters. Everything we've done so far has been on this side of the table. Now, if you jump over to the other side, this is what's gonna happen.
It gives the illusion that I've switched sides and Amin's suddenly over there, across the line, over the 180 degree. This is why dinner parties can be one of the most notoriously difficult scenes to film. Why? Because there are so many different eye lines that you need to negotiate. And remember, you can never cross an eye line. This is called crossing the 180-degree axis. It's a very fundamental filmmaking technique. Next month on Reel to Reel, we're going to be looking at shot sizes. That's right, long shots, mid shots, close-ups, wide shots. Why we have them? What's the benefit for you, the filmmaker? I think I just got beaten. We'll see you next month on Reel to Reel.